Hello, and welcome to our Hymn of the Week feature. This week we are looking at hymn number 653, Dear Lord and Father of Mankind. I would encourage you all to take part in our survey, which is found in the weekly Bell and Tower newsletter, where you can submit your favorite hymns to be considered for inclusion in our series. The text of hymn number 653 is by John Greenleaf Whittier. In recent years, this text has been the source of great controversy, and indeed all of his texts. Much of his poetry was written to be read and not sung as hymnody. In the late 19th century, however, one of the British hymnal editors began to use selected stanzas of much longer poems, including works by Whittier, as sources for congregational hymnody. Today, because of the inappropriateness of much of his poetry as Christian hymnody, many of his texts have been deleted from hymnals in most denominations. This is one of the few texts of his that have been retained. One of the reasons being that this hymn is actually taken from a 17-stanza poem called The Brewing of Soma, first published in 1872. The poem described the brewing by East Indian priests of a, quote, drink of the gods, unquote, and its intoxicating effect on worshippers. Whittier, whose Quaker beliefs were opposed to form and ceremony, as well as to emotional excess in religion, recalled in this poem how age after age has striven by music, incense, vigils drear, and trance to bring the skies more near, or lift man up to heaven. He then concludes the poem with a 6-stanza prayer for Christians, which begins our hymn, Dear Lord and Father of Mankind. The hymn entered the Episcopal repertoire in the hymnal of 1916. Stanza 15 was omitted from all editions of the hymnal. It reads, with that deep hush subduing all our words and works that drown the tender whisper of thy call, as noiseless let thy blessing fall, as fell thy manna down. The tune, Repton, comes from the pen of one of the great English 19th century and early 20th century composers, Edward Parry, C.H.H. Hugh Parry. The first matching of the text and tune occurred at Repton School in Derbyshire, England, some years before it actually appeared in print. Matched as tune and text, it presents an unusual situation in that not only was the text not intended for singing as a hymn, but neither was the melody initially conceived as a hymn tune. The melody actually comes from the oratorio Judith, and indeed our choir often sings a setting that is taken directly from the oratorio, but using the words, Dear Lord and Father of Mankind. Despite the close association with Repton School, the tune with the Whittier text was first published in 1924. In July of the same year, the preface of the Repton book was signed by the then headmaster, and publication itself by Oxford University Press took place by late October. The form of the tune utilized a piano reduction of the orchestral score, and this form has continued down to the present day and is what you will hear in our recording today. Mitch and Seth will be leading our singing, and we encourage you to sing along to hymn 653.
Oh,